Are you Matthew Aldridge?
I'm the attorney of fact for Matthew Aldridge.
You were what?
The attorney of fact.
Attorney what?
Of fact.
Attorney of fact. And what does that mean?
You know, his authorization to do legal representation.
Are you a licensed attorney?
No, I'm simply an attorney of fact.
Okay. And does that mean you have a power of attorney? What is your name? What is your name?
All right, everyone. Today's court hearing is completely out of control. On paper, the defendant is listed as Matthew Aldridge, but the man standing at the podium refuses to even acknowledge that name. Instead, he claims he doesn't have a name and introduces himself as an attorney of fact, which, by the way, isn't a recognized legal position at all. This is the classic sovereign citizen playbook, arguing that the court has no authority or jurisdiction over them. But here's the reality. If you're physically present within the court's jurisdiction, the court absolutely has authority. That's how the legal system works. The judge sees right through it and doesn't entertain the nonsense for even a moment. What happens next is a complete shutdown, and by the end, the judge outmaneuvers him in a way that's both swift and brutal.
You don't have a name? Pardon?
I'm an attorney of fact for the respondent mayor.
Well, let me explain to you. Only an attorney at law can stand in court and represent a criminal defendant. And to do so otherwise violates the criminal law statutes of the state of Tennessee and could land someone who attempts to represent themselves as an attorney at law in serious trouble. I understand what you're saying. I understand you're saying an attorney in fact. And what I want you to understand is that if you have a power of attorney, then you need to demonstrate that power of attorney. Do you have a legal document called a power of attorney?
No, I do not at this time.
Okay. Then you don't have any authority to act on behalf of Matthew Aldridge in this court. You have no legal authority, nor do you have any authority through a legal document to represent or to act on behalf of Matthew Aldridge.
Why don't the court just let me file this document?
Show it to the bailiff and he'll show it to me. Apparently there's a copy here.
I mean, it's one thing to make bold claims, but this guy takes it to another level. He insists he's an attorney of fact, and to prove it, he hands the judge a single sheet of paper. You didn't see it clearly because the moment dragged a bit, but that paper supposedly quoted some law that he claims gives him the authority to represent the person named Matthew Aldridge. Here's the problem. Real attorneys don't just print out a document and declare themselves legal representatives. They have to be licensed by the state, pass the bar, and follow established legal procedures. That's how the system works. There's no such thing as a DIY, one-page legal fantasy that suddenly grants you courtroom authority. Sovereign citizen arguments like this usually revolve around jurisdiction, as if simply declaring yourself outside the law somehow makes it true. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Courts operate on well-established statutes and precedent, not imaginary loopholes. And this judge? He's clearly not interested in entertaining any of it. Honestly, is the sovereign citizen movement getting more common lately, or am I just running into more of these wild cases? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Trial tomorrow, and as a result, you have no standing, sir, under what I know what you're trying to do is to try to use the sovereign citizen approach to this situation, and I'm simply telling you that you do not have the right to represent Matthew Neal Aldridge. If you are, in fact, Matthew Neal Aldridge, then you need to say so and stop this nonsense, because what you're attempting to do has no legal effect. You cannot challenge the criminal law or the jurisdiction of this court by simply filing some legal mumbo jumbo having to do with civil litigation. That has civil litigation in it. It is not a criminal case that you have cited. So it has no effect on this court regarding the criminal statutes of this court. This court is empowered under the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee and by the duly elected citizens of Cheatham County to empower and enforce the laws of the state of Tennessee. And that is what I'm going to do regarding Matthew Lynn Aldridge. Mr. Aldridge is set for today to appear in court personally on what we call our last plea day before his trial date tomorrow.
Is that an Article 3 trial?
To what?
Would that be an Article 3 trial? A trial by jury with jury?
It would be a trial by jury, certainly it would be. But I don't know who you are. And I don't think you have any authority if you are not Matthew Lynn Aldridge to appear before this court. And you're wasting valuable time to all of these other citizens who are here today. So when I'm talking, you stop talking. No, you will when I'm finished talking. You are wasting the court's time by doing this, and I'm just simply instructing you that if you are in fact Matthew Lynn Aldridge, then this is your last day to settle your case. The trial date is set for tomorrow, and unfortunately, it will not go forward because of the fact that I have a conflict and I have to be in Stewart County on a civil matter. So we're going to assign a new trial date for Matthew Lynn Aldridge. All right. To Matthew Aldridge and the individual standing before.
This judge is handling the situation like a total pro. He stays calm, focused, and firmly in control while shutting the argument down at every turn. The guy barely even gets started with his attorney-of-fact claims before the judge carefully dismantles them piece by piece. It almost seems like the judge has dealt with this kind of thing many times before. When the man starts quoting his so-called laws, you can tell the judge isn't buying any of it. And honestly, the moment where the judge points out that he claims he can't even utter his own name, that was surprisingly funny. Judges are usually very stoic and straight-faced, so that reaction definitely stood out. From the beginning, though, it was obvious the judge wasn't going to waste time entertaining what had turned into a courtroom spectacle. At the end of the day, it just shows how ineffective and pointless these kinds of stunts really are.
Whatever this document is that you have filed is in fact invalid because it does not cite any valid criminal statute, and therefore I'm denying whatever that might be in the way of a motion. The trial date will be July 15th. The last day for Mr. Aldridge to enter a plea or go to trial will be July the 8th. July the 8th. Now, we're going to give you a card. If you are, in fact, Matthew Aldridge and you're just playing games with the court regarding this nonsense that you filed, then you may get this card and you may go on about your business. If you are not Matthew Aldridge, then I would suggest to you, you relay to Mr. Aldridge that he must appear on July the 8th, or a bond revocation will take place, and his case will be will take place with him in jail, incarcerated on the 15th.
Sovereign citizens are definitely a unique group. They genuinely believe they can opt out of the legal system simply by refusing to recognize government authority. You'll often hear them reference things like common law or the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, but those arguments usually come from a major misunderstanding of how those laws actually function. To be clear, courts operate under established federal, state, and local laws, legal frameworks that have existed for centuries and are grounded in constitutional authority. There isn't a hidden loophole where someone can just declare that the rules don't apply to them. That's not how the legal system works. Despite that, these kinds of arguments still show up in courtrooms, often creating delays and wasting time, and ultimately leading to worse outcomes for the person making them. From a legal standpoint, the sovereign citizen defense falls apart because of jurisdiction. Courts have jurisdiction over individuals within their geographic boundaries, regardless of personal beliefs about authority. What might sound convincing in online echo chambers doesn't hold up in front of a judge who's heard it all before. And for anyone wondering, trying to dodge taxes or fight a speeding ticket using these tactics doesn't just fail. It can actually lead to heavier penalties for abusing the court process. It does make you wonder why people continue to rely on these strategies. Do they truly believe they've discovered a way to outsmart the system, or is it more about rebellion? Either way, it rarely ends well. That wraps up today's breakdown. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like and subscribe, and